This book has completely changed the way I look at money and think about money. It has also turned me from a spendthrift to a saver. Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Dylan, and in today's video, I'd like to share with you my first finance book, the book that has profoundly changed the way I look at money, kind of like charted out my direction for money, at least when I was 16 years old. And the book is none other than The Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So on my hand, I have part 2 and part 3. So Rich Dad Poor Dad is a 3-part series. I got to pick up this book because of my English tutor. When I was 16 years old, the other way around, 16 years old, right? During one of the English class, my English tutor, Uncle Raymond, he approached me and said, I think you need to read a book. And I was like, no, I don't want to read the book, right? But I was like, okay, so what book do I read? He suggested, why not read Rich Dad Poor Dad? I mean, which English tutor recommends a 16-year-old kid to read Rich Dad Poor Dad? But okay, it's a homework. I took it up, I took on the assignment and I started reading. But it's only on the second time I read it when I was 17-year-old that I picked up the gem, which kind of like I carried it with me throughout my life up to today. And I think these are some gems which I'd like to share with you in this video. So before I go on to share with you my learnings of this book, right, I'd like to just do a quick introduction. So this book is by the author Robert Kiyosaki, and if you are new to personal finance and you're looking for a book to read, I would think that this book will appear on one of those top 10 finance books. So Robert is an American entrepreneur, businessman. He also made some fortune out of investment. So I think there's things to learn from him. The book is written in quite a story-like manner, very easy to understand, illustrating Robert's, the child, experiences with his two dads. So he has a rich dad and his biological poor dad. So his rich dad didn't have much formal education, but he has a lot of money. Whereas his poor dad is a PhD, supposedly to be wealthy, right? But he don't have a lot of money. So the question is, why this difference? So here's my first learning from this book is thinking that a poor person thinks very differently from a rich person. I'll give you some examples which you might find it familiar, which is go to school, study hard, get a good job. After that, save up so that one day you can retire, and don't forget to pay your debt, pay off your mortgages so one day you'll be debt free. Sounds familiar, isn't it? I think some of this may have come from our own parents as well. Whereas on the other hand, the rich dad teaching is very different. The rich dad suggested to Robert, you gotta work hard, but work hard so that you have enough resources such as your financial resources and also your knowledge, to use your money earned to invest in companies that can generate more income for you. Another example is the poor says, I can't afford it, whereas the rich ask, how can I afford it? I thought that's quite a different way to think of a same problem. Both situation is I can't afford it, right? But one thinks of solution, whereas the other focus on the problem. And another principle that is shared in the book is to pay yourself first and not pay your bill first. I think it sounds very counterintuitive, but really when it comes to execution, do you pay yourself first? Paying yourself first means when your pay comes to you, you set aside that 10-20% to save up first and manage the balance, and not the other way around. The other way around is where your pay comes in, we just pay off whatever bills that we need to pay, we pay off our necessities, then whatever left over, we save up. It feels like the same thing, but it's very, very different when you save first versus when you save last. So pretty much these are things that has changed the way I think and look at money. Clearly I didn't learn all this from my family. When I look at my parents or my neighbor's parent, right, it's like, it don't occur to me that, hey, this is the way to look at things, this is the way to do things, which I think that this book really helped in that sense, whereby it showed me the perspective of how a rich person may think and act, and which we simply may not get if we didn't come from such an environment. The second thing that I learned from this book is income statement and balance sheet. So like companies would have their income statement and balance sheet for yearly auditing. My question, right, is after I read this book, how come individual we don't have like a balance sheet for ourselves, we don't have an income statement for ourselves? So if someone were to ask me, hey, how much money do I have, will I be able to confidently say it? I would think that back then when I was like 17 years old, the answer would be no. But anyway, I don't have to know it because my bank account is zero, right? Or close to zero. Whereas it will be very different now. If somebody would ask me how much I have, I kind of have an idea, what is my net worth, how much is my income, expenses, that kind of stuff. Why is all this important? I think there is accountability. If we cannot measure things properly, how can we actually improve? We don't even know our last year's position. How do we know if this year we have improved or regressed, right? On the topic of income statement and balance sheet, right, this is very interesting because I also learned a second thing, which is prioritization. So the poor, the middle income, and the rich prioritize spending very differently. So all of them want to spend money. The poor people, right, will spend all their income first. So whatever that comes in, they just spend everything, they don't save up. Middle income, right, will spend their income, save some, and then use the saving to buy liabilities. Whereas the rich, right, would do the same, earn, save, but instead of using it to buy liabilities, they use it to buy assets that generates income for them. So from this book, I actually see that, everybody wants to spend money, but rather it's the prioritization of your spending that makes the difference. And on assets and liability, the book make a very, very clear distinction between the both. A liability is one that takes money away from you, and asset is one that gives you money. So use property as an example. So if we have a house rented out, okay, cool, that's an asset, right? Cash flow positive. But if let's say we have a house for our own stay and we don't intend to sell, or intend to make money out of it, then ultimately that is still a liability. So even though it's like just income statement, balance sheet, we might have learned that in accounting 101, but I think through this book, I see how the application really comes in, and I also see, how the rich spends their income from asset instead of income from their day job. And that makes a whole world of difference. So the next concept I learned from this book is EBSI. What's EBSI? So E stands for employee, S stands for self-employed, I stands for investor, and B stands for business owners. E and S belong to one side, whereas B and I belong to the other side. E and S essentially trade time for money, whereas business owner and investor trade money for time. How do they do so? They trade money. They use money to buy assets that generate more income, which in turn free up their day job, free up the time needed to generate income for themselves. They have money working for them. And looking at my parents, right, my parents work very hard. They are very traditional Asians. They work very, very hard. And I learned diligence from them. And likewise, right, my neighbor also worked very hard. But one thing I observed when I was growing up is parents don't spend a lot of time with their children. And I don't think that should be the case, right? I was like, okay, if I am a parent, I would like to spend time with my children. I'd like to bring my kids out to dive when they're older. I like to bring them to a musical. I like to bring them to experience things, to do things with them, to ask them about their day. I don't want to spend my whole life working for money just so that I can pay bills and whatever. That isn't quite meaningful to me. So I just feel that life shouldn't be just all about working hard, earning more money. There has to be a better way to approach life. And from EBSI, I learned that actually we all start out somewhere. Some of us may start out as an employee, but we can actually move. We are not static. So at the end of the day, it's all about choice. We can choose where we want to go, and I think that EBSI provided that roadmap for me to chart out the course that I want to go and the direction I want to be. So these three things are the core principles that I've learned from this book. It was very long ago, so there's a lot of things I might have forgotten, but I believe these are the three core principles that the book has taught me. And I spoke to some friends, I shared with them, hey, I read this book before, and some of them didn't like the author Robert Kiyosaki for some reason, but I just thought, just because you don't like the person does not make his point invalid, does not make his good ideas worthless. So I think it's still worth reading this book. And some people also told me that the book is a bit fluffy. I'm not sure about it, but it worked for me. Will this book make you a better investor? I don't think so. But what I know it can possibly do is changing a person's direction. And I like to quote Jim Rohn, which is, we can't change destination overnight, but we can change direction overnight. So that 5 years down, 10 years down, our destination will be different. And it's easy to change the direction. It's not possible or feasible to change the destination overnight. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you are busy or didn't have the chance to read this book, I hope this video provided with you some insights that you can carry with you to help you in your financial journey. So that's all for today, and I'll see you the next time.